And now, more Utalk now.
Hey guys, it's Utalk. I hope you like music because we're talking music tonight. And I just was talking with our guests before we started and learned some more stuff from him, and he's going to share it with you. He was born and raised in Middle Tennessee. He is an amazing keyboard player, singer, and songwriter. In fact, he's working on a new album, which I'm excited about. So, Chris, come on up and join us. Join me. Whatever. Great to see you, man.
How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm good. Every day's a good day.
Good. All right. You grew up in Middle Tennessee. Did you spend much time in what's typically called Music City, Nashville?
I spent a fair amount of time in Nashville growing up. We lived about an hour and a half away, so it was a treat for us to get to go to Nashville. Okay. But when I was a little older, maybe 12 or 13, my brother and I actually won a few talent shows playing bluegrass. So I've been to the original Grand Ole Opry before it flooded. Now it's been relocated.
Oh, where'd they move it to? Because I was at the original one as well.
So the original one flooded, I want to say, in 2008.
Okay, yeah, it's been that long since I've been there.
Now it's been relocated. So they have part of the stage cut out so that you still get to stand on the original center stage wood, but not the same stage anymore.
So you actually played the Opry. See, I never had that chance. I visited, I've been to some stuff there, but I never played it.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So you and your brother had a band for a while. Is that
we played just the two of us. Yeah, we played bluegrass. I primarily play the piano, but my second instrument is the mandolin.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, now I just learned something else new about you.
Yeah, you got to play, if you're going to play bluegrass, you have to have a stringed instrument.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't typically let the piano player in.
Yeah, I was going to say that the piano player doesn't happen there. I got to tell you, I tried to learn how to play the guitar a number of years ago, but I wanted to play it like a percussion instrument, and I just couldn't get my fingers working. And then I was at the NAMM show, the North American Music Marketers deal, and some guys from Brazil had created almost like a cajon, but it was the shape of a guitar.
Yeah.
And they filmed me doing it. They said, look, if we film you, we're going to give you one. And I never got it. But it was fun. It's fun to get that rhythm out there. Okay, you started playing at a young age. Was it 5, I think?
I did. I started playing piano at 5. I say 5 because I have pictures of me in a diaper trying to reach up and play the keys prior to being 5. But I know at 5, my brother and I were already sitting down around the house and writing our own songs.
Seriously? Yeah. At 5 years old?
Yeah, at 10, we had our first band called the Dog Biscuits.
What was the motivation for that title?
We were kids.
And you had dogs, I suppose?
Oh, yeah. You want to pick a name that sounds cool or off the wall, and this was in the 90s, so Dog Biscuits made sense. Play a little grunge, a little punk rock.
Absolutely. Okay, I got to ask you this. If you could pick one song, like a popular song of sorts, that describes you, and you hear that song and you say, oh, that's me, what would it be?
So for me, I got to go back to some older popular music.
Okay, yeah, I know.
But probably Lionel Richie's Easy Like a Sunday Morning. That's probably me in a nutshell. Like I said, every day's a good day. I'd always try and keep a smile on, try and keep a positive outlook. Nothing can hold me back, nothing can keep me down. So I gotta go with Easy Like a Sunday Morning.
I'd have to agree with that. The short time I've known you, but every time I see you, you're just chilled and you got a smile on your face. How are you? It's that kind of a thing. It's now if I picked a song, and I'm just thinking this off the top of my head, I guess it would be Wipeout, which goes way back.
I know the song.
And when I was doing clubs, I got so tired of it. Hey, can you do Wipeout?
Of course, yeah.
It's like, is there a song like that they come up to and say, hey, can you play this song? And it happens over and over?
I get lots of them. The one that's probably most often requested clearly is going to be Billy Joel's Piano Man.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Not that I'm tired of playing that one. I actually love Billy Joel. So the Billy Joel and the Elton John request, I don't mind at all. But you still always get the people that want to hear Free Bird. Turn the Page by Bob Seger, those are the ones that I might be a little more tired of playing. In Nashville, if you play Free Bird or The Devil Went Down to Georgia, you have to do it for at least a $100 tip.
Really?
Nobody on Main Street's allowed to play those songs for more than a $100 tip. It's an unwritten rule.
That's funny, Devil Went Down to Georgia. Well, I guess that motivates you to say, okay, I'll do it, but
Yeah, I mean,
you got to put the money down.
most of those bands will tell you we can play it, but we can't do it for less than $100 because that's the precedent. They want those two songs.
Those two songs.
Yep.
Why those two songs?
Because over the years, those are the songs that are probably overly requested, and if you want someone to do it and do it well, it's going to cost you, 100 bones.
We could have a whole conversation just on requests that bands get. I mean, it's doing the work we've done. All right, with music, you've traveled a lot doing it. Is there one gig that you've done over the years that was really memorable to you? It was an unusual place. It was an unusual situation. Maybe there's more than one.
There's definitely more than one. The one that stands out the most to me. This was probably 3 years ago. I did a really cool festival in Pine Top, Arizona, with my band Dirty Sunset. And what was cool about it was the venue, the people that were setting up the music festival booked us a cabin for our band. So we had this 6-bedroom cabin in Pine Top for the entire weekend, and we played Saturday and Sunday, I believe. Maybe it was just Saturday, but it was such a really cool amphitheater, a little outside amphitheater, and there were people riding horses through the crowd while we were playing. It was one of the coolest spots. Another place that I got to play, one of the coolest things that I remember was actually with Richard Dietrich, and it was at a school in Jamaica. And I'll never forget seeing an ocean of children and young adults, maybe 600, 700 kids and youth, and every one of them with a smile on their face to see a live band. I'll never forget that. That was a really cool moment.
That is an awesome place. I had forgotten you had been. I think you and I went different years or something.
So,
and he's trying to get me.
I've been 3 times now.
Have you? I've only been once. He's trying to get me to come back and maybe we can go the same year and put a band together. Yeah. I got to tell you about one of my experiences. Just I don't know why it came to the frontal lobes of my mind here when we're talking, but it was up in the San Francisco Bay Area. In fact, we were in Livermore, and they had a rodeo, and they wanted to have a big rodeo party afterwards.
Sure.
So they shut down the streets of this, Livermore, and they had big flatbed trailers that they had pulled in to put a stage. You've done this before, and I was with this country band, and I had a brand new drum kit. Just bought this Rogers.
This already sounds like it's going down a bad road.
Yeah, it's going down, and so we're out there playing. We're having a great time, and this parking lot where we are is just filling up, and people are getting a little bit rowdy, and pretty soon we're seeing there's a lot of police action starting to happen, and this one cop comes up and he goes, "Hey guys, it's getting really rowdy. We may come up and say, you're out of here, stop the music, we got to shut this thing down." And I'm going, we got to get my drums out of here. Yeah. And he comes back up, same guy. And we're seeing sirens and cop cars are coming in from everywhere. And he comes up, he goes, "Somebody just took a broken bottle and shanked the cop." He said, "Shut it down now and get off the stage and get out of here."
Yeah, save the drums.
I did. That's exactly. I had a buddy with me. I go, "We got to save these things." We didn't even pack them down right or anything, but we're running, getting them in the car and getting out of there. Going down one-way streets the wrong way, and there's probably dozens of music gig stories we could talk about. Do you, when it comes to music, and we live in this very divided, tense time, does music play a role? Could it play a role in just what's going on in our culture, what's going on between people, so much divisiveness? Does music have an important role in that?
Of course it does. I think one of the coolest things we get to see now is music therapy. A lot of psychologists and psychiatrists these days are actually using music therapy to help people process emotional baggage, bad memories, good memories. Music is definitely therapeutic, and it's cool that we live in a time now where everyone has access to it. Different forms of radio via the internet, social media. We have music videos at our disposal everywhere we go.
Every place.
Especially as a musician, music has always been a sanctuary or a safe place for me. It's helped me make it through rough times in life. I was, overweight and picked on a lot as a kid. And music definitely helped me get through all of that, even though, I was the stereotypical band geek, chubby and picked on and bullied. But those lessons, those times, those, overcoming those things, those obstacles, those helped me be where I'm at today. I wouldn't be a full-time musician if I hadn't stuck with it and really kept my nose to the grindstone. But like I said, the therapy part of music is probably why I'm still playing music.
Interesting. Now, with a keyboard, with piano, whatever keyboard it is, can you play it? Like if you're in an anxious mood, can you play it aggressively?
Sure.
Okay.
Of course. One of the things that I notice is, as you know, I'm a performing musician, so I still gig out multiple times a week. If I'm having a good night, you will 9 times out of 10 hear me playing a lot of cheerful, happy, upbeat music.
Interesting.
If I'm not in the best mood, or if I have someone heckling me, or if I have, if I've had something bad happen to me that day, I might play a lot of, Pink Floyd. And,
interesting.
Some darker music, some Gary Jules, Mad World, who knows? But it, or some really slow, depressing blues, or
See, I was hoping you were gigging tonight, because after the show, a buddy of mine and I were going to. I thought let's just test it. We'll heckle him.
Yeah.
No, I heard you before, and you do a great job. The reason I asked that question is, like, for me as a drummer, I can play so aggressively. I can go in, and if I'm angry, which doesn't happen a lot, I mean, I will just play the drums.
Go through 3 pairs of sticks.
Yeah, and umpteen heads, just because I just want to, But it's interesting how music is something everybody can enjoy.
Sure.
It's not, you teach, and I teach. We'll have to talk about that a little bit more. I wish every student, let's say teen and young adult, could learn how to play, and tween and elementary age could learn how to play an instrument. I think it would make a difference in their life, and I think a difference then in the world in which we live.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's funny that in at least American culture, we push things like sports and team activities on children. But I know that the one-on-one time that I get with students and seeing whether it's a grown person or a child learn something new or accomplish something musically, that's still like scoring a touchdown or breaking someone's ankles in basketball. It's the same feeling.
Yeah, it truly
that
is.
feeling of accomplishment and adding something to your tool belt, something at your disposal. So this is another thing that you have that you can do. Like I said, it's funny that in our culture we push sports, not so much music, and you see parents pushing music on children in a lot of other cultures.
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to say that. Now, when a student comes to you and you agree to give them lessons, in your mind, in the process of teaching them, is there, besides helping them to learn how to play this instrument and chord structures and things like that, is there an overall goal or a couple goals you have in mind for that student with them coming to you to learn how to play?
Most definitely. And before I touch on that, the one thing that I always like to do, I always tell parents that I want to give the student one lesson free, because I always want to see how much of them being in the lesson in the first part was their idea versus their parents' idea.
Oh.
Because if they're 100% in the mindset that they want to play the instrument, I'm down. No matter what, I'll teach them. If they're a little resistant to the thought of it, I'm sometimes hesitant to teach the lesson, because if it's forced, there's going to be a wall regardless. But if the student is, or if the potential student is actively wanting to learn, I love that, because the one thing that we want to teach more than music is every opportunity to teach life lessons.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
Throughout the duration of a single lesson, I might touch on one life lesson throughout us playing the piano, because that's the real important part.
No, it's interesting what you're saying, because I've had situations where, and you probably have run into this as well, where parents are saying, well, I need to sit in the entire lesson. It's like, no, not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. And you see I've always seen such a different attitude. Like fathers, it's usually fathers more than mothers when they come in, and I will allow them to come in. I told you, you need to, it's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want your son or your daughter to be free when they're here,
and to look forward to coming back.
Exactly. Instead of this drudgery, I got to go. What is the youngest student you've had?
8.
Okay.
I've taught a couple of 8 and 9-year-olds. I don't mind teaching younger students. Like I said, I started playing the piano when I was 5.
God, that's crazy.
The difference is that I wasn't taking lessons. Both my parents played piano, so I just started actively learning. I started watching them when they played. I started practicing on my own. I was already enforcing practice routines on myself as a kid.
Wow, that's interesting.
But my brother and I both did that. We both played multiple instruments. We had a house full of instruments. So when I got home from school, rather than going out and playing with the other kids or riding my bicycle or playing sports, I sat around and I played a few minutes on the banjo, played a few minutes on the violin, played a few minutes on the piano. I played the alto sax, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade marching band.
That's crazy. Now, see, I never could I tried clarinet, and the clarinet I didn't get along.
See, the embouchure for the woodwind was easier for me than the embouchure for brass. I could never play brass.
Interesting. And I have to admit, I tried to learn how to play piano, but I think my piano teacher was older than dirt. And she had this way back in time.
A very traditional classical way to teach.
Yeah, and I could never get my hands to do the right thing. And she had this massive ruler with a metal edge.
And she would hit you in the knuckles.
Yes!
Of course she did, yeah. So I took 3 piano lessons growing up. I took 3 piano lessons, and it wasn't for me. Had a much older lady as my instructor. Very traditional, very formal, very classical. It wasn't my cup of tea. I'm a jazz player, so our finger structure is different anyway. She wanted me to sit close to the black keys and keep my fingers curved and keep my back upright, and I'm the opposite of all 3 of those things. So.
Now, having parents that were musicians, in fact, your dad's in the Hall of Fame, is he not?
He is.
Is it the Jazz Hall of Fame?
He's in the Jazz Hall of Fame.
Who did he play with?
So my dad played with Norman Mason, which is... He's another Jazz Hall of Famer. My dad played one show with Louis Armstrong.
Ooh.
He played with Jimmy Hayslip, which is one of the most famous jazz trombone players through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But he played on riverboats between Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, New Orleans. He did a lot of riverboat shows. He did a lot of shows in St. Louis at a place that's no longer a venue. It used to be called Gaslight Square. Yeah. And it was one of the very first jazz venues in downtown St. Louis, which is where my dad was from. But he grew, like I said, he was born in 33. So my dad actually grew up in the 40s playing jazz and the 50s playing jazz. So he got to play with some really awesome musicians.
Oh, he did. And he must have been amazing to get to the Hall of Fame. I mean, that doesn't happen.
Well, he played a very unique style of piano. I think there were only 4 or 5 of them that are recognizable to anyone if I were to name them. But he played what's called barrel house style piano. So he did a lot of octave chord with the left hand while he played with his right hand. But he could play melodies with both hands.
Wow.
So he played ragtime and Dixieland. Those were the styles that he played.
Fun stuff to play and listen to. Did having musical parents, do you think that had a big impact on you and your brother playing music?
Of course it did, and not just musically, but artistically. Our parents encouraged us to be creative. So we grew up drawing, writing. I was entering short stories and poetry into contests when I was really young. I won a few contests.
That's cool.
But they pushed creativity and free thinking on us. They wanted us to be, because, like I said, I grew up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The South is steeped in culture.
Yes.
But the culture that's there isn't always, the nicest or cleanest. And my parents were very big on making sure they wanted us to be cultured. They wanted us to be educated. They wanted us to be well-versed in all forms of art. They wanted us to understand all of that. So I'm thankful that our parents pushed those things, because we could have turned out to be completely different kids.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm sitting, the wheels are turning out. I'm thinking, I wish more parents were doing that today. You know, it's almost, I mean, there's this pervasive attitude we're seeing more and more with parents, and it's like, hey, don't bother me. You know,
Yeah.
I got stuff to do, and
Or the the iPad or the smartphone, and just go play a game.
Yeah, just go, and you see these little kids on it and stuff. Instead of using your own creativity, learn that musical instrument, learn how to draw,
See,
learn how to write.
I got to build my own treehouse.
Me too.
20 feet in the air.
Oh.
We couldn't have made it more dangerous. but my mom let us build that tree house up in the tree, and she told us, she goes, when you break your leg, the one that didn't break their leg, come and get me.
Okay, did you guys have a trapdoor in yours with a rope where you could escape?
We didn't have a trap door in it, but we had a pretty cool tree house. We lived on a 250-acre farm.
Oh, nice.
So we had basically a junkyard. So we had an old truck camper as the roof on our tree house. So it had the little sliding windows on it.
How cool is that?
We had vinyl siding from a trailer on one of the properties.
Okay, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Mine wasn't that cool.
But we built it ourselves. That was, my mom was not scared for us to go out camping and hiking and hunting and fishing.
See, and that again is what I think a lot of younger people miss today. They don't have, I didn't grow up on a big ranch, but my grandfather had one, and they called it a ranch. It's orchards, and I remember that. I remember working in the orchard, and there's just something different about that, or going out
Sure.
and hiking and hunting and fishing, and it's just it gives you a different mindset.
It does. Your value on things that you produce yourself is greater. I mean,
it really is.
You appreciate things much more.
And like you said, it's that part of you add to your tool belt, or when you could look at this thing and say, oh, I made this, or I wrote this song, or I did this poetry. And I'd really encourage those of you that are with us on this show to think about that. Think about don't wait for somebody else to encourage you. We're encouraging you to do it, okay? Find a way to be creative. Now, if you could go back in time and talk to your 12-year-old self, what would you say about having a career in music? Would anything change?
Yeah, get a full-time job and play music on the side.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I did it the right way. I did not go to school for music. I could have pursued music as my major, and that would have changed nothing. I don't think. I still have studio gigs. I still perform live every week. I know a lot of musicians that went to school for it that have a part-time job teaching music on the side, and they work less hours than I do playing music. So the one thing that, and the reason for that was, I didn't want to make music feel like my job, because if it's your job and it's your only job, you still have a chance to resent it. And I never wanted to resent it. I never wanted to resent playing music. I always wanted it to be a choice that I made, not my career path. And it still is, like I have a few jobs. But music is still on my career path. It's just not my sole source of income. I don't have to stress about playing music to pay my bills. And that's what's always made a big difference for me.
That's huge.
It's helped me keep my passion and my love for it.
I was going to say, you still have your passion for it, because I have some friends that are actors, and I hear them say, if I could just find another way, and they're full-time, and I have to basically say yes to everything because, you got to pay the bills and that kind of thing. So you have allowed yourself, you've given yourself that gift of being able to be passionate about music, and I think we all need to find something we're passionate about. I think if you can find something you're passionate about, then you never really work a day in your life because you've got that. And whether you're full-time in music or you're doing music, I still do. I do a lot of different things, and I still love doing the session work and teaching students and performing, but I'm not relying upon that.
It's not a 9 to 5,
exactly.
5 days a week.
It's not, and although I don't know if I could do studio work maybe 9 to 5, I might be tempted. See,
and there was a short period of time where I thought about possibly going into recording engineering. And I've got several friends that do it. My one friend Schmitty, He still does it to this day. He's still very passionate about it. That is his bread and butter, and he's phenomenal at it. He has great ear for it. He's good at staging microphones.
Wow.
That is his passion, and that is his job. But I will be honest, he's one in a million. Not everybody that I know that has the 9-to-5 music job still appreciates it and loves it every single day.
Yeah,
because it still comes down to being a job at the end of the day.
No, it really does. And if you can make a good living, I have several friends that are doing it full time, and they seem to still be passionate about it.
Sure.
Let's go back to something for a minute. It's this is a month where we nationally try to emphasize, kind of anti-bullying and stuff. You mentioned being bullied, which I had not heard that before. How did you handle that? And I'm thinking in terms of somebody who's watching or listening to us, to our conversation, and who's struggling. They're being bullied right now. And it's taking its toll, unfortunately. I mean, younger and younger students are taking their lives, and unfortunately, I think it has in part to do, and I'm not anti-social media at all. I think it's great. But now it's with you go before social media, if somebody bullies you, okay, it's at school, it's not going all around the world, it's not there, picking at you 24/7. But how did you handle being bullied, and what would you say to somebody who is being bullied?
Well, I'll tell you how I handled it, and I will tell you that that's not how you should handle it.
Okay.
Oftentimes when someone is bullied or picked on or abused, the repercussion for that person is that later down the line, they pay it forward. And they bully someone else because they've already been hurt, and we already feel broken emotionally. And it's very easy to want to reciprocate that and lash out because we're already hurting. I'll tell you some of the biggest regrets I have in my life, and I don't have many of them. Some of the biggest regrets I have are feeling hurt and feeling bullied, and in turn bullying somebody else because I felt hurt. And that's not what we should do. The thing that I've learned, and it's taken me a good portion of my life, is that waking up in the morning isn't a choice. But once we're awake, we get to choose how we handle our day.
Ooh.
And we get to choose to make a good day out of it, or we get to choose to make a bad day out of it. And that's not life handing it to you. That's what we do with it when we're handed it. We can choose to see the positive in what's around us. And I know that sounds easier coming from me, especially if you're in that situation currently. But waking up and choosing to take a bad situation and still make it a good situation, or I guess in turn, instead of lashing out and becoming the bully, in turn, showing some compassion and love to the people around you, because that in itself will definitely heal those wounds that we have from people who attack us and hurt us.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. I mean, it's a choice. And life is a gift. We wake up, and to remember that we have to choose. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. You know what? We're going to have a conversation again because we got so much to talk about. I appreciate you taking time. How can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, normally I'm actually revamping my Facebook. Currently, my Facebook is deactivated, but I can tell you that if you soon it will be reactivated. You can go to facebook.com/It's Chapman Time. My last name is Chapman, Chapman. It's Chapman Time is my Facebook URL, and then on Instagram it is at Chris Chapman Music.
Awesome. I'm going to give us that again. So
the Facebook URL is facebook.com/It's Chapman Time. ITSCHAPMANTIME.
And for Instagram?
Instagram is at Chris Chapman Music.
Awesome. Thanks for taking time.
Of course, thank you, Steve.
So we didn't even have a chance to talk about build-up. That's where we met a few months ago, and we're going to do a build-up here, in just a couple of weeks, I think. We'll have to talk more about that. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff we'll talk about. We'll sneak in between your gigs and your jobs.
Yeah,
and
maybe we'll plug my new album.
Absolutely.
Coming up, and then we can talk some more.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I do have one other request. I want to play music with you sometime.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Of course. That would be so fun. Hey, man, thanks.
Of course.
It's always great to be with you and great to see you.
Likewise.
This is Utalk Radio.